Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be with us here on today's training webinar. We're going to talk about something that I think is vitally important for the vast majority of business owners out there today, and that's the topic of lost clients or inactive clients, whatever you want to call them. And I'm going to call them clients during this webinar because that makes it easy. But if you're a doctor and you call them patients, or if you're a coach or consultant and you call them members, it really doesn't matter what you call them. I'm going to call them lost clients just for consistency's sake. But we're going to talk about how you can use 3D mail to really improve the results of your marketing towards your lost and inactive clients. And if you don't know what those are, I'm going to tell you a little bit about that today, explain what they are, who they are, how you can target them, and then for the most part, I've got a bunch of examples I'm going to show you from all different kinds of businesses using our lost client mailers to get back their inactive clients and add profits to their business. So I'm just going to click on over to the PowerPoints here and we will get started. All right, so here we are, and like I said, we're going to talk about how to find your lost clients and reactivate them with 3D mail, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. First off, just a little bit about me, who I am. If you're on this webinar, you've likely been getting my emails. You've probably gotten some direct mail pieces from me. You may have seen some other videos of me. So you may have a pretty good idea of who I am. But those of you who don't, my name is Travis Lee. I'm co-founder and president of 3D Mail. We founded this business. When I say we, I'm talking about my father, Keith, and I in 2007. And our goal is to help businesses increase their return on investment with creative, unique, and clutter-busting 3D mail products. That would be our unique selling proposition, or USP. So that's actually why I'm here on this webinar today, is because I want you to see what's possible with 3D mail. And it's a lot of times once your eyes are opened up to it, you can really see the powers of it. And then when it comes time to do the mailing or to buy the stuff, you'll choose us to do that. So that's, obviously the reason why we're doing this today here for you. I'm a marketing strategist, I'm a speaker, I'm a copywriter and an author, so I work with clients one-on-one to help develop their marketing campaigns. I speak a handful of times a year at various marketing seminars and boot camps and conventions. I've shared the stage with people like Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazier, a couple other guys like that who you may or may not have heard of in the direct response marketing world. And at last count, we have helped over 7,500 business owners improve the response of their direct mail. And that's really what we're about here. Traditional direct mail can and does work, but we're looking for ways to spice it up, to kick it up a notch. And we really, like I said, we really want to help you improve the response of your direct mail. So that's our overall goal. And by the time we're done here with this webinar today, hopefully you'll have know of a few ways that you can improve the response of your direct mail with this specific niche of customers, and that being your lost clients. So what is a lost client? I kind of told you I would go over this before we started. So it's someone who purchased from you but has not been back in a, quote, ordinary amount of time. And that varies from business to business. And here's what I mean by that. With every business, there is kind of a set amount of time in which a customer, client, patient should have come back and patronized your business again. I shouldn't say a lot, but some industries have it kind of built in. So think about your auto repair shop, right? They think that they believe that you should be in, depending on who you ask, every 3,000 to 5,000 miles or every 3 months. So they've got a built-in time frame that is kind of universally known and accepted. Think about your dentist. They ask most dentists, and they think you should be in anywhere between 6 and 12 months, depending on the health of your teeth and gums and your smile and that kind of stuff. As you age a little bit, your MD might tell you need to come in once a year for a physical or a check of your blood pressure or whatever that may be. So some businesses, and if you're in one of those businesses, these things are kind of quote-unquote predetermined for you by industry norms. Other businesses, you kind of need to figure that out and look at your customers, look at their activity, and see when they should be coming back. But I'll give you a few examples. So, for example, let's say you're a restaurant and you're kind of in a downtown setting and you really cater towards the lunch crowd, the business lunch crowd. Well, I would probably tell you that a really good customer, an A-level customer, should probably be there once a week. So in that kind of thinking, you might say, hey, boy, if they're not here, if they go 2 or 3 weeks without us seeing them, they, could be lost. That may be a little too short, but really you need to figure that out. And, so let's say you own a high-end jewelry store, for example. And, you believe that your customers should be in, let's say, once every 1 to 2 years. So that's when you would start sending out these lost clients. If you're in car sales, last report I saw was that people buy a new car, and this may be off a little bit now, but the average person buys a new car, new or used, but gets a new car for them or their family every 3 to 5 years. So maybe at year 2.5 or 3.5, you start thinking about when is a good time to be contacting these people specifically for a lost client campaign. So again, think about when kind of a logical time frame is for a client to come back to your business. And, in some businesses, it may be a few weeks, a few months. Like I said, in the case of the car dealership, it may be a few years, but you kind of got to have that number in your head before you get started. And by all means, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is something that we actually encourage people to do monthly or quarterly, depending on that number we just spoke about. So that it's something you can be testing and tweaking the entire time. Maybe you go 1 year, but that was maybe a little too short. So maybe the next time you go to 18 months. So you can constantly be tweaking these little things as you go. But who has lost clients? So they're small business owners. So we talked about a retail store. We talked about a restaurant. The martial arts school owner. You guys have lost customers. Service business operators. We talked about auto repair shops, beauty salons, dog grooming. They have lost clients. Sales professionals, insurance agent, real estate brokers, mortgage brokers, all those kinds of people. You have lost clients. Of course, B2B, people selling in the B2B world have lost clients, and that shouldn't be any, hopefully not a surprise to anybody in that world. It's the world where I've spent the most time in my own businesses. I work with all different kinds of business owners, but I work, all the businesses that I've personally, either managed or owned or done the marketing for have all been in the B2B world. And trust me, there is, in all 3 or 4 of them, depending on how you count them up, we always have lost clients. Professional practices should be no surprise. Lawyers, chiropractors, we talked about dentists. They have lost clients. In many cases, lost patients for them. Information marketers, if you're a speaker, a consultant, an author, if you have a coaching group that you're coaching, you have lost clients. Basically, everybody who owns a business has a lost client. There's maybe one industry that maybe doesn't have lost clients, and that's a cemetery. So once they're gone, they're gone. But there's other ways if they, we won't get into that too much. So that's like really the only industry I can think of that doesn't have lost clients, because unless something changes here real soon, when you're gone, and you're probably not coming back. But if you're one of those business owners, okay, you maybe got me on this one. But everybody else, we all have lost clients, customers, or patients in our business. There's just no way around it. So why don't customers return? It's kind of a tricky situation. So why don't they return? And this is the reason in order from the least reason to respond and then the biggest reason why they don't return. I hope that made sense. So first off is price. They simply found a better price. So that is 6th on our list of 6. Next is they move away. So let's say you're a dentist and your patient moves out of state, out of town, across the country. Gonna be tough to get them in. So if they move away, that's the 5th on our board here. Number 4, and going in reverse order, is lousy service. we all try to be perfect, obviously, but that's not the case a lot of the time. So sometimes you can lose a customer via lousy service. Now, if it continues over and over again, you've got a problem that you need fixing. But certainly we can't all be perfect all the time. We strive to be, and every once in a while you might lose a client through the cracks with lousy or bad service. Lousy product. You just may not live up to what you claim. That's the third most reason. The second one is they get a new resource, so they find a new vendor. This one's actually pretty real, right? Almost all of us have competitors. Very few of us are in a competition-free zone, as much as we want to think we are or create a competition-free zone. Most of us have competition, and oftentimes those guys come and get your customers, and you can try to do a lot of things to stop it with great products and services, with great pricing and that kind of stuff, but sometimes it happens. But here's the biggest reason. The biggest reason is they simply forget about you. And I can't tell you how many times we've run a campaign, whether it be for our businesses or whether it be for clients of ours, where we send out these campaigns, and time again, people come to the location of the store or the shop, or they get on the phone and order, or they go online and order, whatever it may be, wherever there's a customer interaction, and they say, gosh, Travis, I got to tell you, we had every intention of using you guys again for whatever it is, and we just plumb forgot about you. And it really is amazing how that happens. And so, with your ongoing marketing efforts, you don't want that to happen as much as possible. But the bottom line is, it's the number one reason people don't come back to your business is they simply forget about you. So what do you need? What do you need here why are lost clients so good? Why are they so good for us? First off, they're good prospects, right? Obviously, most of us probably paid a lot of money to get them through the door the first time. So rather than going out and rounding up a whole bunch of new customers, why don't we go out there and reactivate our lost ones? So they can be good prospects. They should know, like, and trust you to a certain degree. They are easy to find, right? As long as you got a database, you can go in and find them. So that if you've got a database, whether it's just simple Excel spreadsheets or you got a big, robust CRM or enterprise system that keeps all that stuff calculated and tabbed, even better. But if you've got a database of any kind, we can find them. They're easier to sell. Notice I didn't say they are easy to sell. They are easier to sell. Because again, hopefully they know, like, and trust you to a certain degree. They hopefully had a good experience with you the last time. They hopefully had a good experience with the product or service that you offer. So in that regard, they are easier to sell. And here's a big one, and it's often overlooked, is that you can find out why they left. So oftentimes what we'll do, and this is what I mean by that, you can find where the holes are in your sales or marketing sequence or follow-up. So you might say, why'd you leave? Well, what happened? And they may come back, well, the product wasn't what I expected. Well, so-and-so didn't get back to me in a timely manner. Or, boy, I just found a cheaper version of whatever you were offering. But that's important to know. That's stuff that arms you with information that you can go now address in your ongoing marketing campaigns. And here's a great one. People actually like being found. And again, when we do these for our businesses or for our customers, they like being found. It's oftentimes we'll get a reply via email, or when we're on the phone taking their phone calls, they'll often say, boy, I actually really appreciate this. This is kind of nice to be recognized. I'm not just a nameless, faceless number to you. And that goes a long way. I mean, you'd be really, really surprised the recognition and kind of the goodwill that can do for you. So again, these are all reasons why we should be going after lost clients. So what do you need? I hit on it on the last slide. The first thing you need is a database. Again, whether that's simple Excel spreadsheets or you've got a big, robust CRM system that can do all the bells and whistles for you, that's what you need. So the first thing you got to have is a database. The second thing you need to do, which is what we led the call off with, is you need to determine when a client is lost. And so, again, we can tweak that number a little bit. We can test it over time. My guess is if you've been in business for any more than 3 to 4 or 5 years maybe, you've got a pretty good idea of what that number is already. So I would encourage you to determine what that number is. How often do you want your customers to buy from you again? So if you think that they should be coming back, let's just say every 6 months, I would encourage you to send out a lost client campaign in month 4 and 5 because we want them to come back by 6 months or before 6 months. So that's the goal. So figure out how often you got to kind of determine, balance, when do you want, when they're lost and when a logical time is for them to come back, both from your perspective and their perspective. Because if you do these things too early, the client might say, I'll give you an example. With our car dealership, if I bought a car and 3 months later I get a lost client mailer from the car dealership, I might say, whoa, I was just there. Now, some of them might be ready to come back in after 3 months, but my guess is the vast majority of them isn't. So you got to kind of find that sweet spot. And then what do you need to do? You need to let them know they're lost, and here's the big one. You need to market to them sequentially using multiple steps and preferably multiple media. And here's what I mean by that. When we do our lost client campaigns, we hit our lost clients with a direct mail piece, typically 2 to 3 times. We hit them with an email, typically 2 to 3 times. So we send out the direct mail, and then we have an email that corresponds to kind of hit, shortly after the direct mail piece hits. And then we actually do an outbound phone call. So if you can see there, we have 3 different kinds of media: direct mail, email, and telephone, and we're doing it sequentially. And so that's very, very important. So I'm going to get now to some of our examples. It's really the reason why I'm sure most of you are on the call today, not to hear me lecture about lost clients, but to see what our customers are doing. And so this is really, really cool. So the first example I want to give is from Blake Walker. Blake Walker owns Central Automotive. He's actually my mechanic out here in Kent, Washington, which is a suburb of Seattle, where, if you're familiar with your Washington state geography, we're kind of located right smack dab in between Seattle and Tacoma. And he's actually my auto mechanic, and that's how I got to know him, was me taking my cars there. And I kind of told him about what we do, and he said, "Boy, Travis, that sounds intriguing. Tell me more." And so the logical first step for us to use was a lost client Boomerang program. So we had a list of 1,881 inactive clients, and these were people that had not been into his shop for between 1 to 3 years. That was kind of what we determined to be his quote-unquote sweet spot for this. On a side note, I should say, we're working on a direct mail piece for him right now to hit some of the people that didn't respond. So we are going to be following up with them as well. So this is what we sent. This is his exact mail piece. What we do is we take a number 12 envelope. This is there's a couple different things here with these boomerangs. So what we do is we have a number 12 envelope, which is slightly bigger than your typical number 10 business envelope. The reason we use that is because this boomerang, it's a little too big to fit in a standard number 10. So not only do we have the 3D element going for us, if you will, kind of, you got to figure out what's inside. You pick up the envelope, you can feel it in there. But we're using this oversized envelope that most people aren't going to get in their mailbox. So you're standing out two different ways. And as you can see there, just a very, very simple headline: "Travis, we want you back." And I'll show you here's the envelope, a closer look at the envelope. Again, return address, just his return address, no name of the business. We didn't use his name. Obviously the recipient's address. We do send these pre-sort standard mail or bulk mail. What's cool now, though, and this has been going on for several years now, but you can actually use a live stamp. So there's actually a live stamp on there. We do that to keep the postage rates down. 1,881 pieces. Postage is a concern. I don't quote me on this, but I believe we got out his mail piece. The postage was around 57 cents per piece. So nothing big, nothing outlandish. That number's going to fluctuate depending on how many you send out. But when I get to the results, I don't think you're going to really care what the postage rate was, all right? So, and here's his letter. This is a 2-page letter. The left side is page 1. The right side is page 2. Nothing earth-shattering here. Just a simple headline: Travis, we want you back. Dear Travis, it's John and Jason over at Central Avenue Automotive. We were looking over our records, and we realized that we haven't seen you since January 13th, 2012. What was really cool is Blake kept really good records in his database. So he actually had that number in his database. So we were able to embed that or mail merge that, if you will, into the actual letter. And you can see there we have the offer in there. Maybe asking yourself why we chose that offer. Blake, to his credit, has done a lot of direct mail in the past, postcards, your quote-unquote traditional direct mail. And he knew that those 3 offers there pulled really well for him. And he knew that because he's been doing a lot of marketing. So we figured, well, let's take a known commodity of a lost client campaign with our Boomerang and a known commodity of his offer that he knows that pulls, and let's put them together and see what we get. Have a testimonial there. You notice we used a map there, the full contact information. A very, very simple letter. Oh, and I should note, I almost forgot. All these examples, you're going to have an opportunity to send us your name and email address, and we'll email you all of these examples. So if you're like trying to take notes or scribble down what the letter we used or whatever, just sit tight until the end of the call. We're probably over halfway done already. Sit tight till the end of the call, and we're actually going to give you an opportunity. Just like I said, give us your name and email address, and we'll email these things off to you so you have a collection of these. So here's what's vitally important, though, is the results. So, it's way more important than the actual copy that was used. You need to think strategy, and then what are the results. So like I said, we mailed almost 1,900 pieces, 1881 to be exact. A total cost of $2,131.50. You may wonder why I know that number exactly, because we did the mailing for them. We provided the boomerangs, we printed the letters, we folded them, we stuffed them, we took them to the post office. So we know the exact amount here that he spent here. Here's the thing. He reactivated 51 clients. So a good response rate, nothing earth-shattering. He got 51 of his 1881 to come back into the shop. But like I said, here is the most important part. He had a total revenue, and this was at last count, $24,275.22. Again, an exact number because Blake is very good at tracking his results. And you see the little asterisk there. This was on the first visit back into the shop. So what do you think is going to happen to these 51? Do you think they're going to come in once and never come back again? Well, let's say even if they did. What if all of them came in the one time and then never came back? Well, we'd have an average transaction of nearly $476, and even if they never came back, we'd have an $11.38 to 1 return on our investment. And that's if they never came back. My gut tells me, and I think we can all probably agree, that a pretty good percentage of those 51 are going to be coming back more often for their oil changes, to get their brakes checked, to bring another vehicle in. So this is really only on the first visit back. Blake actually emailed me about halfway through this campaign, and I don't have the email in front of me right now, but the subject line was, "That boomerang was the bomb," and then 6 exclamation points. So he was obviously very, very happy with the results there. And again, this is just first-time visit numbers. I mean, we're going to get them in again. We're going to get them in for more vehicles. We're going to get their wife or spouse car in. We're going to get referrals, hopefully, from them. So this number, theoretically is going to go up in perpetuity as long as these 51, as long as a percentage of these 51 reactivated clients are coming back. So very, very cool results from there. Here's another one now. So this is a dental example now. So we went auto repair shop, and now we're going to go to a dentist, and this is Leonard Anglis. Dr. Leonard is the DDS in the practice. Nancy, his wife, is the office manager, and that's often the case with professional practices. Dentists and those guys is the one spouse is the service provider, if you will, and then the other spouse is kind of the office manager, marketer extraordinaire. So they're in Michigan City, Indiana. And here's what they did. They sent a little worry doll, and I'll show you a picture here in a second. And again, before those of you on the call think I'm only going to be showing business-to-consumer examples, I got a couple B2B examples here for you, so stick with me. And I've got a couple different industries still coming, so if you don't worry about that. But they sent a worry doll to patients who had canceled their consultations or had their consultations and didn't book the procedure. Does that make sense now? So they had booked a consultation but didn't either show up or canceled, or they had their consultation and they didn't have whatever the procedure that Dr. Anglis prescribed. They didn't have whatever the procedure was after they had done that. So here's your letter. There's your little worry doll. As you can see, it's little. I mean, they're maybe 1.5 inches tall, maybe 1/4 inch thick. We just staple it right to the letter there. Kind of a cool little envelope. We just used your regular business number 10 envelope. Name and his name and his address in the return envelope. Just a little bit of teaser copy. That teaser copy is that red handwritten stuff on the outside, as we're worried about you. And then here's a copy of the letter. So again, you're going to get this letter. So don't try to read it all. You're going to get this if you just give us your name and email at the end of the call. But here's what's really cool. They mailed out 530 of these guys. 530. Nothing big, no big numbers. Total cost of a little under $1,200. And again, here's the big thing. A total revenue of $101,300 on the first visit back. Now, he does dental implants and that kind of stuff, so hopefully they fix it so they don't come back. But again, they've got families, they've got spouses, they've got relatives that they can refer to. They might need another procedure later on. But basically, I call this is one of our Hall of Fame ones. This one is really, really good. So they actually got a return of a tick over $85 for every $1 they spent. And lest you think that I am making these numbers up, here's the email that Nancy sent me, and said, "Gentlemen, we could hardly wait to tell you that we had our most successful mailing utilizing your unique worry dolls. We crafted the letters and featured your worry dolls and mailed it to 530 patients at a cost of," and I told you that, "and our standing results have been $101,300 in treatment to date, and we expect things to further increase." So that actually came to my email. Where's the date? November 11th, 2013 at 9 a.m. So don't think I'm jerking your leg here around with this. These are real numbers. These are numbers that real businesses are getting out there, real businesses just like yours. So I've got another auto repair shop example, and it's not because I wanted to show you another auto repair shop example. It's because I want to show you a consumer-based mailing followed up behind it with the business-to-business mailing. And what may surprise you at that is that there's not much difference here. So I'm going to go through this one fairly quickly here because the letter and everything we used was very, very similar to Blake's letter. And so this is Mark Daniels, and he owns Dan's Auto Service in Taberg, New York, and he got an 18% response rate over the 3 steps that he sent out. I'm going to show you the first step here on this call. So again, I'm not going to go into great detail here, but I want to show you how very, very similar the B2B and B2C campaigns can be. So here was his letter, his envelope. Again, your number 12 envelope, because we used the Boomerang. We used live stamps. This was a brown-colored envelope that's the one we chose to go with. There's no magic between white and brown. And then here was what the package looked like. Again, the number 12 envelope, the "We Want You Back" headline, right? I mean, look familiar, with of course the Boomerang inserted. And there's the letter. Nothing groundbreaking here. It looks and feels very, very similar to Blake's letter. Now, here's what I want to show you. I am not repeating the slides, okay? I'm actually moving. So here is an example from a B2B business. And this is Jim Ludy. He owns Gel Light Candle Corporation in Mentor, Ohio. And here's what he sells. He sells ready-to-sell candle displays for gift shops and other retail stores. So if you can imagine, if you walk into a drugstore or a Hallmark or something like that, he sells these big boxes of candles, right? Not big. They're for big is the wrong word. They're meant to go next to the cash register, and they come in these boxes. They're all lined up perfectly, and all the retail store owner does is they pull the front cover off, and there are the 15, 20, 24 candles all set ready to go. All they got to do is stick this thing on the counter or on the shelf next to their cash register. He got an amazing, now, so this is going to business owners now. This is going to retail store owners. He got a 31% response rate. Now, again, I am not showing the same slides. Well, I am showing the same picture, and here's the reason. Because they sent the exact same thing. There was, as far as the envelope goes, there was no difference between B2B and B2C. We used the return address in the upper left. We had their address in the middle, a live stamp, the exact same strategy, even the exact same implementation was used here. Okay, and so here's the lost client mailer. Tailored Pooch, that's obvious. So obviously one of his clients we embedded there in the headline. Taylor Pooched, I really want you back. That's the name of the business, probably a pet supply store of some sort. And there's the package right there. I mean, even with two completely different businesses, they use the exact same strategy. They even implemented the thing exactly the same. And so here's your sales letter. Again, Tailored Pooch, I really want you back. Dear Teresa, just like this Boomerang, I want you to come back. Some time ago, you ordered a selection from America's highest quality gel candles, but after the initial order, I haven't seen you. Where'd you go? And so again, very simple letter. These are, all of these examples have been 1 or 2 pages. It's not, earth-shattering copywriting. In fact, it's fairly simple. Maybe even call it, down-home copy, if you will. Just very conversational. That's what we wanted to do here. And again, you'll get a copy of this letter, so don't try to scribble notes as you're going here. All right, so I've shown you a handful of consumer examples. Let's show some B2B examples here. This guy's his name is Tim Mitchum. He works for Wexford and James in West Des Moines, Iowa, and he's got a really fancy title for his business. They call themselves Receivables Management Services. If you don't know what that is, it's a collection agency. They've got their fancy name for it. But bottom line is they help collect bills for businesses who can no longer collect from past or delinquent customers. Targets, one of his targets is cosmetology schools. The example I'm about to show you is from that world. But he's got a couple different verticals that they do very well in, and so they target them. And in this case, it was cosmetology schools. Don't quote me on the exact geography of it. I believe it was kind of in the 3 or 4 state area in which, in and around Iowa, in the upper Midwest there. And so it's a vertical that works very well for him. And this is actually an email I got from Tim. It says, "Hey Travis, just thought I would quickly share some results from the Boomerang mailer we did earlier this year. So far it has returned 1,200%, and I expect that to grow a little bit more. We'll have to do another mailer of some kind to the same list. Thanks." This is from Tim. So yes, Tim, we should do another mailer, and we did. In fact, Tim's a really good customer of ours. He does things like the Boomerangs with us all the time. We actually do some of his new prospecting cold mailers. We do that for him as well when he wants to go out and get new accounts. And so here's an example of his letter. Dear first name. Well, first off, let's start with the headline. We really want you back. Where have we seen that before, right? And then, dear Tim, our records indicate it's been too long since we've heard from you and then we put the name of their company in. So we've given you a flat 10% their company gift certificate in this letter, meaning you file any less and on and on. Again, the copy is almost inconsequential. What you need to realize is the strategies and the techniques involved that we used. Again, nothing groundbreaking here. I mean, you could almost take these letters and swap them with all the businesses that we've talked about and still mail them out and probably still get darn good results. I mean, it's not rocket science, and that's what I want you to get out of this webinar today is that this isn't hard. This can actually be very, very easy, and you can get some amazing results with this. So again, here in a few minutes, we're going to go ahead and give you an opportunity to send us an email and get all of these letters for you. All right, and is this my last one? Let me check my notes here real quick. If you hear me, yeah, so this is our last example. I kind of wanted to keep this webinar a little on the shorter side. So here's the last example. It's a B2B example now again. And this is from Jimmy Nicholas, and he owns Jimmy Marketing in Waterford, Connecticut. Jimmy must really like his name. He's got his name up there 3 times. I'm just joking with you, Jimmy. If you're listening today, you're a great customer. And he does online marketing, web design, social media, videos, that kind of stuff, if you will. And Jimmy, the last time I saw him, was actually nice enough to give us a little video testimonial. So instead of me trying to recreate everything here, I'm going to let Jimmy take it away and let him tell you exactly what he used this campaign for. So Jimmy, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, Jimmy Nicholas here. I'm the owner of JimmyMarketing.com. We're a local marketing company out of Waterford, Connecticut. And I recently did a Boomerang mailing, not to get my customers that haven't done business with us, but to get them back, because we have a continuity program where they renew every month automatically, but I wanted to get them back in for other services instead of just their continuity program. So I thought, why not send them the Boomerang to get them to come back in? And I put basically the headline, taken directly from Travis's swipe file, their name, we really want you to come back, and did some copy doodles with we miss you. And I did 4 different offers for them to come back. It was a 1-page mailing, and that was it. And I want to share with you some of the results that we had with it. We sent out 243 of these, and we had 8 responses, 7 of which turned into actual closed business for approximately a 3% return rate there. Now the postage cost me $473.80. The clear bags, we sent that in a clear bag with the Boomerangs. I didn't even know you could send mail in a clear bag, but I was on the phone with Travis and kind of asking, what do we send this in? And he suggested, why don't you send it in a clear bag so they see the Boomerang, and it's just tremendous. That was $22.64. The paper and ink was $25.47, and the Boomerangs were $50.94 for a total cost of $572.90. It brought in over $4,826 of revenue, which is a return on investment of 742.38%. This was my first 3D mailing I had ever done, and it was, extremely, extremely successful. We're still getting orders in from it. It's been about a month. We put an expiration date on it, so we're still taking some of them in, but it has been a tremendous, tremendous investment. We followed it up with another mailing, the Compass mailing, and I have nothing but great things to say about 3D mail.
All right, so thank you very much, Jimmy. That was very nice of you. So now you're ready to reactivate your clients. You've got everything you need. You've seen all the examples. You've seen what our clients have done, what we have done in order to get lost or inactive clients back into their business. However, there may be some of you who want more, who want professional copywriting, perhaps a strategy session to get you started, and let's face it, maybe someone to print and mail the entire campaign for you. If that's you, you'll want to listen very closely, as I've put together a very cool program to do exactly this. So here's what we did. Me and my team will create an entire lost client campaign for you, the whole 9 yards, the whole enchilada. So the first step is a 45-minute strategy session with me, Travis. We'll hash out all the details for you to have a successful campaign, just like our examples today. So we'll talk about who on your inactive customer list to target, the sweet spot in timing your campaign. We'll talk about your offer, your deadline, and all the other important details that go into a successful direct mail campaign. By the end of the call, we'll be ready to create a sales letter that rocks. And so after our strategy session, I'll personally create and design a professionally written lost client mailer just for you. And here's the deal. This is the only way new clients have access to me as a copywriter. My current client work keeps me pretty busy, but I set aside enough time each month to take on a few new clients with these proven lost client campaigns. After we've got the letter done, my team will start on the printing and the fulfilling of your campaign. We'll print the letters with all the things you need. We'll personalize them, we'll address the envelopes, we'll insert everything, add the postage, and take them to the post office. You don't need to lift a finger. Now, the price of each mailing will depend on a few things, mostly the number of clients we target. But we'll talk about that in our strategy session, and you'll know all the upfront mailing and postage costs before you commit to anything after our session. Your upfront investment for the 45-minute strategy session, the entire copywriting project, is just $497. I would normally charge about $1,000 for a project like this, but here's the deal. I'm so confident that our lost client campaign will work for any business. I'm willing to take a lot less on the front end, knowing that it will work for you, generate sales for you, and you'll love your results so much that you'll want me to have more work done for you. Maybe it's a follow-up letter to the first one we create. Maybe you'll hire me for another different campaign. Whatever the case is, I know from experience, 80% of you will come back for more, and that's why the investment is so little. So click on the link that appears at the top of the screen right now to get started. You'll notice that there are quite a few people on the webinar today, and we'll schedule your strategy session and start your project in the order in which you register. So go ahead, click on the link now to reserve your spot. As soon as you do, my office will be in touch with you within about 48 hours to schedule your strategy session with me. So if this is anything at all that sounds good for you, click on that link. You'll pay the strategy session fee. If after the strategy session you don't want to go forward, we'll refund that all back. But I really encourage you, if this has made sense to you today, if this is something you know you want to do but you can't quite get it all done yourself, let's do it. Do the strategy session. We'll do the letters for you, and we'll go from there. So click that link. Go take care of that right now, and I look forward to working with you. That's all I have today on the call. Hopefully you got a ton out of it. And again, if the lost client campaign is for you, please click on that link right now, and we'll get that rocking for you. Thanks so much.